nutshell, what I do is okay. In a nutshell, what I do is I help organizations build and maintain a high-performing culture, and at the same time, the talent that works in that organization really help them to own their careers and empowering them to own, build, and develop their own careers so that they can thrive and ultimately bring their potential to life. That's in a summary is what I do. But other than my work life, or well, still it's part of work, but aside that, I also I have a podcast, it's called Career Diaries 406 podcast that I co-host with my friend rather. And basically what we do is we pretty much just share tips, tools, and provide guidance on how to help people, professionals really navigate their career journeys, grow while at it, thrive while at it, and really we try to center into for immigrants who just join new countries and just trying to navigate the work culture, navigate the space, and just pretty much empowering them with tools and resources and guidance as how they can thrive in this new environment that they found themselves. Other than that, I enjoy baking a lot. So that's something you'll find me doing. If I'm not doing all of these things. Like, so I enjoy baking a lot, kind of find it very therapeutic and at the same time fun. And that may not be the case for many people, but for some reason it works for me. But that's something I enjoy doing. And I also love to hike. That's one skill or one hobby I picked up since relocating to Canada. And I really enjoyed it, just discovering new places, new sites and all that is something I enjoy doing as well in my spare time. So yeah, I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about me. But yes, thank you, Lola, once again.
Thank you so much, Bukola. I'm sure everyone is excited to meet you. That was a very detailed introduction. So thank you. Okay, nice to meet you, Bukola. We're going to be moving on to Pippa. Hello, Pippa.
Hi Lola, how are you? Hi everyone.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. We would love to meet you. So who's Pippa? I mean, we've got Pippa's bio on the screen here, but
Yeah.
let's talk. Who's Pippa?
Yes, so I'm Pippa Golan. I've been a business analyst for almost 11 years now, working mainly in transformation projects in the London markets area. And I'm also a founder of Business Analyst School, where I mentor people looking to transition into business analysis. That's really close to my heart. Majority of my mentees are women, so it's really close to my heart that I'm able to share knowledge and help people build the confidence that they can actually break into tech through business analysis. That's basically it for me. In my spare time. Oh, I also have a YouTube channel, by the way, where I share about business analysis. And I'm currently trying to build a personal brand through my Instagram, but I'm really struggling to sort of differentiate between business analysis and being myself. I'm still a work in progress. Aside that, in my spare time, I love singing and dancing, just in my kitchen by myself, playing some nice Afrobeats jams and just dancing. And aside that, I love to travel. I travel a lot. And yeah, a lot of my salary goes to traveling, basically. That's about me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here to share knowledge and to help everyone see that they can actually break into tech. Thank
Nice to
you.
meet
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Pippa. Thank you for that. Okay, so we've got Bukola who loves to bake and hike. She's got a really amazing background as well. And we also have Pippa who loves singing, she loves to dance, and she loves to travel. I mean, all of the amazing women in this room. Tell me about it, huh? All right. Now let's meet our final panelist, Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nicole Adrians, and I head up a data and AI practice. I'm in the consulting business. I'm calling today from Cape Town in South Africa. Just a little bit about me is I'm a mom of two, so if there is a little bit of noise in the background, that's my kids. It's about 9 o'clock on Saturday night here in Cape Town. Um, I enjoy many outdoor activities. I live on the coast, and so I do enjoy taking walks. I'm a long walks on the beach kind of person. And so I just enjoy spending time with the family on the weekend. In the week, I work very hard. We support our customers in data and AI solutions so that they can get to know their customers better and make smarter decisions. So we pretty much help organizations solve problems and add more value for their customers. My experience, I think it sounds like I may be the oldest on this panel. So I've been in the industry for 21 years. And my first job in the tech industry was in 2004. So, and I've been in pretty much data and AI roles for 15 years before entering into the consulting space. And I've always just had a love for what technology has to offer and to be able to create things and build things. And the tools we have today is just phenomenal to be able to do that. So yeah, what a powerful panel we have today. I'm really, really looking forward to getting to know them more. And yeah, let's see what we can learn from each other today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. Come on, guys. Are we excited? Yes. Are we excited? You know, you can just type in a yes. We've just met these three powerhouses. And type a yes in the chat section if you are excited to get into this. Okay, iPhone said yes. Okay, who else? Temi Topper, Monica. Okay, Abigail, Titi Lope. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So many women are excited to get to know you. Okay, so let's get into it. So I'm going to be asking a couple of questions, and I will be throwing my questions between Pippa, Bukola, and Nicole. And you know, it's just a case of us getting to know each other. It's a conversation. And if you've got any questions that you would like them to answer, feel free to drop that in the chat and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so to get started, one of the themes for IWD this year is give to gain. Now, in your experience, and I'm directing this question to, I'm going to start with Bukola. In your experience, Bukola, what does giving look like in the tech ecosystem? And how has this translated into opportunities or growth for you?
Thank you, Lola. While I'm not directly working in a core tech space, but of course the work that I've done over the years have supported tech talent and all of that. So just wanted to give that context. But what does giving mean to me? I think for me, and I'm really so excited about this year's theme because I've benefited a lot from people who have given to me, literally, like whether it's in resources, is in access, is in opening doors. I have really thoroughly enjoyed that like throughout my career years. Like too many examples I can share. And that has in turn really I'll say accelerated my growth and development in spaces where I found myself and roles that I ended up doing. So I think for me, giving is really about that, is being able to share access, sharing knowledge, sharing opportunities, and not holding back. Like I kind of feel people who thrive and are successful in their careers are people who are not afraid to bring someone else like along the journey with them. It's not about hoarding the information or like when you continue to hoard. Honestly, if you're that person who like hoards things and is scared that, oh, if I probably give this opportunity or expose this other person to it, then I would be limiting my own opportunity or they'll end up becoming better than I am. And I get it, but we can't continue to like we can't continue to live that way. We would say even amongst maybe amongst non-workspaces that guys almost for that men are more like open, they are more collaborative, they just always want to look out for each other. Like you'll find a group of guys literally just meeting maybe just 5 minutes or maybe at the gym or something, and you would think that they've known each other for like 10 or 15 years, like the way they just bond and everything. There was this particular meme, I was it a video or a meme I saw on Instagram a while ago, and someone was saying there how a group of men, like a picture of a group of men were all together, And the person then commented that she's so sure that they don't know each other's names, but they just end up hating themselves, chairman, my G, Oga, like, but they'll still go around that, like that brotherhood spirit. But again, for women, it's a completely different story because we're like, people tend to say that we're not as we're probably more competitive. We don't want to help each other, kind of thing. But I think it's important, and I'm so glad for forums like this where we can talk about these things and just kind of empower one another to just be able to be open, give up, like share access, share knowledge, create opportunities for other people, bring others along the journey with you. Um, Honestly, you're better off doing that than trying to just think you can do it on your own, or you don't want to do it because you don't want to feel like people then take your spotlight or things like that. If you give, like, I think it's saying that goes that give and it always come back to you, like it would always come back around, so don't be afraid to do that. So I think that's what really giving means to me, and it doesn't matter whether it's a tech ecosystem. I think it works across all ecosystems, to be honest. Like, it's yeah, it's not just not just streamlined to just tech, but even across other careers, other ecosystems, and all of that. I think don't be scared to do that. I've been a benefit of it, and that's how it has also worked for me across my careers, across the roles I've had, is because other people created that opportunity for me. So that's what that means to me, and I hope that answers your question, Lola. I was trying to keep it short. I don't know if I did that well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nicola. You said a couple of things that really resonated. You said things like, don't be afraid to bring someone along, sharing access, sharing knowledge and opportunities. And one thing that made me think, especially when you said we need to collaborate. I thought about this image that, it was trending back then. It was this guy, he's on a tree, and then he's holding a rope. And I think it's around his waist or something. It's really complicated. But then, he takes a scissors and he's going to cut the one that is holding up the other guy or something. Or maybe they are both on a ladder. I don't remember. And then he's like taking a chainsaw. I've seen different types of it. But then the point is that he doesn't realize that when that person falls, he falls as well. So this is you trying to destroy someone else's progress. You don't realize that it's also going to affect you. I look at it that progress compounds. And a lot of times, like as women, we need to realize that we need to collaborate more, not compete. I've never had a case where, for me, it's all about competition, because I would always try to bring that person in, because long term, you understand that if you compete, then it's a thing of where, when one woman is elevated to a position, it's visibility. It's, oh my goodness, this is progress, But when we've got multiple women at the table, now it's normal. And that's what we should all be going for. We need to make it normal. No more, oh my goodness, equality. This has to be the norm. So fantastic, Bukola. Thank you so much for that really insightful response. Okay, so I'm going to toss it now to Pippa. I see that Pippa is nodding along. She's really excited. Nicole, don't worry. I know that you're also checked and you're ready as well. So I'm going to come to you soon enough. Okay, so Pippa, let's talk about one moment that you think about, that you remember, that has really shaped your moment in your journey in tech. What moments do you think about and you go, oh my goodness, this was defining for me, especially as a woman? I want to understand, what did it feel like? What was that exactly?
I think one moment that stand up for me is earlier in my career, I realized that the biggest barrier that I have wasn't the actual role of business analysis. So before I became a business analyst, I didn't know about tech, right? All I knew about tech is you have to know how to code, you have to know how to query, SQL, Python, all that. And it sort of prevented me from taking the leap into tech. And so what really shaped that journey for me in tech was taking the leap and sort of believing in myself that I can actually do it, and reaching out to people that I know have the knowledge, whether it's through LinkedIn, finding mentors that are confident that I can trust to sort of guide me. So as much as Bukola was talking about knowledge sharing, and the reason why I got excited was, yes, having people that you can trust, that can share the knowledge because you don't know what you don't know. And in the start of my journey, I didn't know because I just didn't know and I needed guidance, right? So I think what really helped me to transition is taking the leap and knowing that I can actually do it. And although it was my own fear of stepping into new environments, right, and challenging myself. And then there's a difference between thinking and trying to explore a new role like business analysis and actually taking the action to do it, you know? So it's like really challenging myself. I allowed myself to believe that I can actually do it. I started taking on more complex projects when I actually transitioned into business analysis, working with different organizations, speaking up in meetings. That was a really huge factor for me because I don't like to use the word shy, but I'm very reserved, but I guess I could say shy. I was very shy in my childhood, growing up and afraid to challenge myself, try new things. And growing up and becoming an adult, I realized that, you actually have to do something. You actually have to take action, and speak up in these meetings so that you can grow, right? But I couldn't do it myself, So community really helps. So as much as I think I've said a lot here, um, the real factor for me there is believing in myself. Once I allowed myself that I can actually do it, then I took that leap, and that's what really business analysis as a career is about. It's about being curious. It's about learning to ask the right questions, learning to speak up, and being willing to explore problems in organizations until the solution actually becomes clear. Um, so I think that's what it is for me. I hope that's answered your question.
Fantastic response, Pipa. And one thing that really stands out is how authentic, it was for you. You said at some point, you might have said too much. I don't think so. I think you were just I think it was just you going down into this is how it felt for me. And it's a very important topic that we do have to talk about, confidence in women.
Yeah.
You feel that, growing up as a woman, we're not really outspoken, we're being taught in a completely different way from men. So when we step into roles, we now have to take on, especially when we step into leadership roles, and we have to become assertive. So all of a sudden, those saying, you being assertive is being aggressive, or the lack of it is more associated with femininity, It's just a lot of, the expectations and all of that. And these are things that we tend to carry into work, we tend to carry it into our career. We are bred like this or raised like this as women, as girls, and then we become women, and this passes on into our career and the way we live our lives. So, when you said taking the lead, that really resonated, and I'm sure that there are a bunch of women here who can also relate with the same thing as well. Bukola and Nicole, I'm sure that they agree. But one thing that, you said you did that I found really inspiring was, reaching out and finding mentors. And I think that, that's one of the reasons why visibility and, more women taking space courageously is so important, because how then do you find mentors? When I want to talk to a mentor, I want someone who looks like me. I want someone who has had the same experience like me, because how else can you mentor me if you've not had the same experience? Now we're just, four women having a conversation, but I bet you when we get into our lives, we're going to find, connections that, that bring us together, shared experiences. And this is why it is so important that we have more and more women in this space, because then we speak up and we inspire the generation behind us, our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, our friends, and we pull them up to step onto the stage. So I'm really proud of you in the past, people, and how you held your own voice. You stepped up, you found mentors, you grew in your confidence, and you took up space Well done for that, Pippa. And one thing you also mentioned was community. Community is so important, and women naturally seek out communities. So I'm so happy that you found that community and that you were able to find your voice and truly step into yourself. Thank you so much for that response, Pippa.
Thank you.
All right. Nicole, are you ready? Okay.
I am.
Awesome, awesome. So we have spoken about something very important here. I believe that Bukola raised this point. It was, collaboration. So how do you think women can shift from competition to collaboration? Because we need it at this point. United we stand, and divided we fall. So in your opinion, how do you think we can shift from competition to collaboration to accelerate our careers, in general, in tech and in other places?
I think, one thing I've learned in my career is that no one really succeeds alone. I love this African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that has really been something that stuck with me a lot during my career, especially in the first 10 years of that build phase of just learning something new each day and growing and building those foundations that has ultimately allowed me to be successful. The tech industry moves so quickly. In fact, it moves too quickly for competition to be a dominant mindset. I think collaboration, we mentioned mentorship, shared learning actually accelerates everyone's growth. So in my mind, it is critical, absolutely critical, that we take others with us and we allow others, to help us grow individually.
Fantastic response, Nicole. Fantastic response.
May I just add, I just loved what Pippa said around her journey, and it reminded me of how of why I even entered the tech industry. Way back, I finished secondary school, I was going into university, having no clue about careers and what to study. And I went into, I did a Bachelor of Commerce in Information Systems, but I went into it specifically because I was curious about technology. I had in my home, we didn't have access to a computer. Our computer lab at school, we had to share 3 or 4 of us on a computer. So we had very limited resources. And out of sheer curiosity around what this computer thing can do, that is why I went into that field. And I'm so thankful that drive to know more, to understand more about the potential of tech landed me in this industry that has allowed me to create more platforms for others. And I think that just that need, that hunt for more, to learn more, was really an experience that shaped for me how I even lead today. I'm very conscious that talent is everywhere, and opportunity isn't always evenly distributed. And so a big part of what and how I lead today, the spaces I create for others, is about creating environments where more people can get access to those opportunities. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much, Nicole. That was a fantastic addition, fantastic response. Something that you said, in your addition is opportunity isn't always evenly distributed. And yes, I completely agree with that fact. And again, it's why it's so important for us to have these conversations, because when one woman breaks a barrier, she creates visibility. And when we have more women breaking barriers because of that, what we do is collectively we create a new normal. And that's why, talking to every woman on this call today, I hope that you're listening and I hope that you are learning from these amazing powerhouses and the wealth of experience that they're speaking from, talking about their journey and what has inspired them up until this point. So I'm going to be coming back to you with another question, Bukola. So Nicole said something that had me wondering, what are the most powerful ways that women can create meaningful impact?
Good question. And if I'm to bring it home, just looking at it like I know what like it's a tech focused community. I would kind of like my answers would be more tilted towards that light. And I think the first thing I would say, and this is just something I'm also seeing a lot now, with the way tech is just, advancing, I can't even keep up. Like Nicole said earlier, like there's no room for competition, there's no space or time for competition with the rate at which tech is advancing, right? But I think one thing for sure is how we translate data. So behind every data is a story. Is particularly where in the space that I work with HR, I work with talent data, and behind every talent data is a human, literally is a human. It's not even about like everything is based on a human. It's just about okay, how can we in sharing that report, that whatever you're sharing or creating that dashboard is how you're able to translate that data into meaningful insights, telling a story with that data. So as leaders review whatever you're putting forward, it is something that it's something meaningful because again, it's not just about presenting that data and just, okay, this is a very lovely dashboard and all of that, which is great, no doubt. But what is the story behind it? I think that's one way that we can meaningfully, as women, create impact. The second thing I'll probably mention is designing inclusive systems. And I have an example here. Here. Sometime last year, or was it 2 years ago? My friend was ill. She was in the hospital here in Canada, and she had to go do an MRI. But then, she had her, what's it called now? Sorry, what do you call this thing? What do you call IUD? What's that thing? It's called IUD, like the likes of IUD, protection, right? Oh my God, it's escaping me right now. But you know what? Like pills women take to, not, to family planning. Yes, family planning.
Birth
Yeah,
control. Okay.
thank you. Oh my God. It literally skips my mind. Thank you, Nicole. Oh wow, yes. So there are different types. I don't have kids yet, but I'm sure Nicole can. Nicole, I know you mentioned that you have two kids, so you maybe have a number of like types of birth controls. But the one she had was the one that where they put in the arm. I don't know what it's called, but something that goes into the arm. And so they're going to an MRI, blah blah, and then they asked. So she then let them know that I think it was metallic. There's some metal part of it in the one in the arm that she had. Of course, she had it from Nigeria, right? So, and of course, this was here in Canada. And I think as part of if you're doing an MRI, they ask you like if you have an implant, like a tooth implant and all of that. I guess I don't know. There's something about metal and then MRI that probably they don't go together or whatever, or they just need to be aware of. So she told them she had something in the arm, and honestly, like you should have seen the confusion on their faces. The doctors, the nurses, they're like, you're all going, oh, we're going to come back to you. And it was such a funny sight to behold. Like, is it like you guys are not heard of a birth control that is implanted in the arm, or you've not seen some? I kid you not, for 3 days straight, they kept moving to having to do the MRI because it's almost as though they didn't know what could happen if she went into that and she had that IUD. So it was like, or the birth control, the one in the arm. And so I'm just sharing that example. She eventually did it, she eventually did the MRI. And everything. I don't know, but I think they just, whatever, they probably then did their research, found out, okay, other things they could do to avoid any, again, I don't know how it, but maybe there's something magnetic that could impact the whole MRI result and all that. But they really did the MRI. But I'm just sharing that example because it's something that I can never forget. And it just goes to show how like when it was designed in this part of the world, like maybe at that point they didn't even think about the considerations of immigrants coming and different way of how we do things, um, kind of our own maybe how our healthcare works, options that we had back in our home country for them because it's not how they probably would approach it, in this part of the world. So it was designed just for the Canadian context. But now that you have more immigrants and all of that, you need to make sure you're factoring in lived experiences of people, of the diverse population that you have. So to bring it home, as we design systems, let's think about that. Don't just design for as a capture lived experiences of people. Capture like not just within maybe just in a small space or how we've always been doing this. You need to go beyond all of that because like people have, like you can't just build for Nigeria alone. I'm just giving an example. Too many people, too many things we need to consider and all of that in that space. I think the last one, and I know we've probably heard this a lot and so many times, but again, I'll say because of the space that I'm in HR, is becoming more and more apparent that ethical, like, advocating for ethics in AI is too important. Like, it is too important. So if you have an opportunity, if you are building something, that is, maybe creating something with AI and all of that, please, please, please make sure that you have like ethics, bias checks, everything in place so that, just to make sure that everyone has a fair opportunity, even though it's powered by AI. I think that are the three things I'll mention in terms of how we can create impact. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, that was such a powerful response. You managed to cover some serious core issues. I don't even know where to start from. You blew my mind with that response. You spoke about the first one, which is designing inclusive systems. And when you started, I was like, okay, yeah, that's very important because there are cases of women are 2 times more likely to die in car accidents because even when it comes to seat belts, the simulations were designed using they were not tested using female women, whatchamacallit, the mannequins, right? On the
Wow.
test. Yeah. And that's, it's really crazy, but this is one of the reasons why it is so important for women to take up space because this literally saves us as women when we take up space. There could be something that you could do that could cascade into creating opportunities for other women, yes, but also saving our lives as women. It could save your daughter, it could save your mother, it could save your sister. So when you speak up for yourself, when you get into these spaces and create inclusive systems, you are literally saving your life. In this case that you mentioned, this is what happens when protocols are designed without centering women's bodies and their experiences. That is a fantastic one. And then you brought up another really, really important point, which is ethics in AI. Wow. There was a story I read of a woman who was very depressed because of certain things that happened, with her picture on the internet. And it seems like, these experiences, we have lots of women who are fallen victim to this, but nobody is listening. And I'll tell you why. It's because we don't have enough women in those rooms where these decisions are being made. Because I'll tell you something, AI, as we all know, has certain topics that it is sensitive about. However, if you can be sensitive about those topics, and you can certainly respect us, you can certainly respect women. But you don't see that happen a lot. And this is because we don't have enough of these important voices that provides diversity. We don't have that in the room. So to every woman here and to every man here who is an ally, this is why it's so important for us to bring women into these spaces and take account of every single person's experience so we can design a solution that is inclusive and holistic in its impact. Thank you so much, Bukola. Fantastic response. Okay, I'm going to throw it back to Pippa again one more time. Okay, so Pippa, tell me, how do you or how can women overcome imposter syndrome? As a woman, we this is something that you find that this on a disproportionate level affects more women than men. Imposter syndrome, especially in tech, in our careers as a whole. How do we address this?
That's a really interesting question. I don't think there's one answer to actually solve imposter syndrome because even me, from experience, even though I have almost 11 years of experience as a BA, I still have imposter syndrome, especially when I have to speak to new stakeholders that are either in leadership roles or that are just daunting to speak to, or when I have new projects, I get imposter syndrome because it's a brand new environment and that I have to learn and I still doubt myself. But one thing that's helped me is learning through experience. With every new project that I embark on, I always have that initial fear that can I actually deliver? Am I actually in the right space to do it? Um, do the leaders actually trust me to deliver this work? What are their expectations? And can I actually meet those? So many questions. And the key thing around imposter syndrome also is comparison. Like they say, comparison is a thief of joy. Um, but those are like all the little nuances of imposter syndrome. The main one being comparing yourself to others. For me, especially, I compare myself to the C-levels. If I have to speak with a C-level stakeholder, I don't feel worthy to speak. But again, what helps me is knowing that, oh, I did it in the last project, so why can't I do it in this project? And another thing that helps is first identifying that these doubts, these questions, this comparison that I'm going through are all natural. Is first identifying that you're actually identifying and acknowledging your experience in the moment, and then noticing, well, I'm speaking from experience, right? And then noticing that this is the career that I have dedicated myself to, basically, and I don't have any other choice but to deliver if I want to keep the career going, if I want to grow, if I want to come across as trusting, right? If I want to come across as delivering value add to the projects, to the organization. So I think it's about finding balance. Firstly, acknowledging what you're going through is imposter syndrome, and then taking the next step to, as opposed to sitting in that feeling, taking the next step to challenge yourself, you know? That's how I've handled imposter syndrome, and I hope that's helped.
Fantastic, fantastic response, Pippa. Something that you said, take the next step as opposed to sitting in that feeling. Well, I 100% agree with that. I found that sometimes you can just like shut the feelings off and just go do business.
Yeah.
And then when I can be in my feelings. But first, we move, okay? Or maybe sometimes we have to cry a little bit or be in our feelings, but still we have to get business done. One thing that, I do want everyone in the room to hear, and this is just, piggyback, and it's just a piggyback of what, Pippa has mentioned, is imposter syndrome is not a reflection of your ability. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I've found that, and I've read a bunch of articles actually that talks about, the people who suffer from imposter syndrome are usually very competent, are high achievers. And you find that, really amazing, brilliant women fall prey to this. This report that spoke about, women being less likely to apply for roles if they do not meet 100% of the requirements. I've even seen that happen so many times, where there would be a job and then women would go for the lower ones, and then the higher ones, you would find more men there. I'm talking about, like, the data is insane, like 100 men to 5 women for roles that are high paying. So part of this is, that I don't really believe in myself. What if I don't meet all the requirements? And as women, we do this to ourselves over and over and over again, Imposter syndrome is what happens when you are bold enough to step into spaces that weren't built for you in mind. Imposter syndrome is what happens when you are bold enough to stand tall and face things that scare you, do new things that actually scare you. You should be extremely proud of yourself when you catch wave of that feeling. Oh my goodness, imposter syndrome. You probably just did something really awesome. I think it's one way for you to think about it. That takes courage. It takes so much courage, not incompetence. So one thing I want to advise, every woman here who suffers from it, and I'm saying this because Fabiola also said the same thing. She said, imposter syndrome is something that, she has also suffered from as well. So one thing that you can do, take advice and there were a few things that people mentioned. And then on top of that, I would say track your receipts. Write down what you have built. Sometimes you cannot argue with data when it's staring at you in the face. I trust the data. You should trust the data. I did this by 25%. I did this by 45%. So every time your mind tries to play tricks on you, you open it and you read it and see just how amazing you have done. The things that you have built, what you have delivered, the problems you have solved. because that voice in your head, it will try to erase it. By the way, don't let it. You are not an accident in that room. When you step in there, you have earned your seat, and the world needs you to stop shrinking and absolutely own your space. Fantastic, people. Thank you so much. Fantastic response. All right, I'm going to throw it to Nicole now, but hey, pulse check. How are we feeling? I mean, I'm really loving this conversation. I'm thinking maybe we take this offline because maybe we're entertaining this guy, but this is, I'm having so much fun just getting to know you guys and how you think. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to throw this to Nicole, right? How do you think women can advocate for themselves without shrinking?
Gosh, I'm telling you, I think for me, I have learned to choose the battles. It's a very important skill to develop is choose which battles to fight. You don't need to prove anything to yourself in every moment, but when the right opportunity appears, you have to take that confidently. There's that saying that I also really love is the wolf climbing the mountain is keener than the wolf at the top. And I love this because it really speaks to how sometimes working for something, the lessons that you learn through the journey is often so much sweeter and you get so much more value out of that experience than, being at the top and being in that top seat. And so sometimes also being on the outside gives you so much broader perspective on things, and it gives you a viewpoint that actually serves you better. So yeah, advocating for others, for their ideas is so challenging in a often male-dominating environment, or an environment where you are, where there aren't many people like you sitting around the table. For me, it's really been about choosing your battles and putting your energy into the moments that count. I've always found that where I've put my energy and focus, that's where I get the best quality out of things. And so instead of taking on every battle, you can sometimes sit back, let it slide, and put your attention and efforts in moments where it can count and for where it has the biggest impact.
Fantastic, Nicole. Nicole said two things that I really love. She said, choose your battles. And then she said, wolf climbing the mountain. I just picked that phrase. And you know why the phrase wolf climbing the mountain is really interesting to me? It's because I love to listen to motivational stuff, like Les Brown and all of that. I love to listen to that, especially maybe when I'm working out or when I'm working. I just like to plug it in and hear, you're a wolf. And something really funny, I'm digressing a bit, but one day I'm listening to this and it's a mashup. It goes from Tony Robbins to Les Brown to the next guy, the next guy. So I think to myself, okay, I want to hear something, from someone who is like me. Because then we get into this part where it's like, be a lion. A lion is a king of the wolf. I said, well, what if I'm a queen? What if I'm a queen? So I wanted to hear something like that. And then I go and I start searching and I finally find one. When I tell you, ladies, it took me a while to find one that was designed for women. And this was on SoundCloud, by the way. I found one and I played it. And the first thing I heard, you are beautiful. You are kind. I said, excuse me? I'm a queen. I'm a lion. I'm a lioness. It's just really fun. I just wanted to share that, because it said wolf climbing the mountain. I just thought about it. But yes, I 100% agree with you. Choose your battles. There are so many things that I see everywhere. It's just there are times there are rooms that you would enter, and there are things that would be said, and that you want to stand up for yourself. You want to stand up for what is right, but then it's like long term, what am I even going to get out of this place anyway? So really choose your battle. So I really, really love that response. And I also want to add to that, stop apologizing for having standards. As women, we are socialized to soften everything. And that is one thing that I do. I deliberately do that. I just think that maybe, sorry, but this might be a silly question. Ooh, no, no, no. So whenever I do that, I catch myself saying that. I tell myself, hey, drop those disclaimers. I know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm an expert on this. I have spent a couple of years doing this. You are not going to tell me how this should be done because I know my stuff. Okay. And then, sometimes you've been in rooms where you would say stuff. I used to read about this, by the way. And then I began to see it for myself. The higher that I go up in the ladder, funny enough, the more I see it, which is actually really funny. You would be an expert in something, you would say it, and then it would be repackaged and said, and everybody would listen. And it's like, I said the same thing. But I find that I would just take control in that moment and I would reframe and I would say, hey, I would call attention back to that. So I just think, as women, we need to stop making ourselves smaller so that other people can feel comfortable with their own competence. So advocating for yourself is not aggressive. That's one thing that I want every woman on this call to take from here. It is necessary. Know your value, name it clearly, and stop negotiating against yourself before anyone else even gets to the table. So ask yourself what you want, like you ask for it on behalf of someone that you love. I found that, looking at the picture of yourself as a little girl, and saying, how would I react if someone were to talk to this girl like that? Or, what kind of rooms do I want this girl to be in? It's so empowering because I like to treat myself like a little girl because, again, I'm just a girl. So fantastic response, Nicole. Thank you so much. That was really, really insightful. We're coming to an end here. So if you've got any questions for these amazing women, for Bukola, for Nicole, for Pippa, please drop your questions in the chat and they will just take one question each. So if you have any questions for anyone in particular, you can drop who your question is meant for. So I'm going to ask one question and I would love to hear what each of you think about this. So what is one piece of advice for women building careers while lifting others? As women, how do we build careers? How do we advocate for progress? How do we enable the acceleration of women in workspace, in our careers in tech? How do we, like Bukola said it, how do we build inclusive systems while also building selves? So Bukola, I would like you to answer that question first, and then we'll go to Pippa and then to Nicole.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Lola. By the way, Lola, you're a fantastic moderator. Like, just wanted to give you kudos. Like you're really great. But thank you. Like you've made this panel really very interesting and the flow has been great. I just wanted to share that feedback. Um in terms, so again, I always come from a HR lens, but so bear with me. In terms of how women can build others as well as build themselves. I would say that one thing for sure is never stop learning. I think that's where I'll come from. Like, develop your skills. Like, there's no, and much more, like, more important now than ever before with how everything is changing rapidly. I was looking at are they called anthropology, or I can't remember now who brought out the data, but a data came out this week. I don't know if anyone saw it around jobs that are, kind of how AI is impacting certain jobs and careers, and like the impacts, across board. And obviously computers, like things around literally computer tech and everything was more, which I found interesting. But again, it was more than other roles. Healthcare was still far back. Construction, plumbing was still like, maybe not so much impact. But I'm just trying to say that. But so it just goes to show that you can't what you knew yesterday, like literally, is not cannot will no longer be enough for today. So I want us to just continue to like be intentional about building yourself, be intentional about developing your skills. Like, don't take it with levity, just be more intentional, be more focused. And as you do that, I'll still add, as you do that, if there are people within your circle as well, or your circle of trust, or friends, or teams, and all that, share that knowledge with them as well. Share the knowledge, share the access, let them know about that, opportunity that you're looking at and things like that. But I think by all means, I think I'll just say invest in yourself and as well as invest in others, build up your skills, develop your skills, and continue to grow that. And as you do that, share as well with others. I think that's what I'll just say in my response to that question.
Fantastic, fantastic response, Bukola. Thank you so much. Be more intentional. That's one thing Bukola said that is now a core quote in my mind. Be more intentional. Bukola, there's a question for you here by Lekon. Lekon said, his question is for Bukola. As an HR person in Canada, do you advise focusing on HR analytics or moving to data analytics? So maybe you want to take that.
I wish I had more context, Lekol, as in around your skill set and what you currently do. And I'd be able to answer more appropriately. But I think the way I'll answer this, because data is something that is you can work across any sort of space. Like if you have that knowledge, you can work across whether it's finance, applying that same data and analytics skill set in finance, whether it's in maybe procurement or whatnot, healthcare. So I would approach it in a way of rather than again, if I have more content, maybe my answer can change. But looking at this question, I would say maybe, like if you learn like the the baseline of what data analytics involved, I'll say don't just hone yourself or just, kind of streamline yourself just to HR. I think it's something that you should like just make sure like you're able to apply that skill set in any other opportunity that you find yourself. Don't streamline it to just HR is what I would say. If you find yourself doing something HR related, by all means apply it. But my point is that data analytics is such a core skill that can work across any other sector. And I'll say you rather go, you rather expand broadly than narrow yourself to just HR. That'll be my response to that. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bukola. Thank you. And just to add, Lekon, yes, Bukola is right. Your personality plays a big role in this. So that's something that you would also want to factor in as well. HR tends to be more people focused, it tends to be more human focused. And for data analytics, it's general. So it's not like it's human. It really is all about the data. So it really is, at the end of the day, it's what aligns with you, aligns with your personality. It's always perfect if it aligns with your personality. Like me, I always say I'm a chatterbox. You can put me here and just leave me, I'll keep talking. But if you put someone else here and they are introverted and not really comfortable in a public space, then it would be a wrong fit. You wouldn't love what you do. So it's important that you align it with what your personality is. So that would make you even more successful in that field. Thank you so much, Bukola. So now, Pippa, we're coming to you. The same question. So what is one piece of advice for women building careers, while lifting others? How can we make solutions more inclusive while also developing ourselves?
I would say I'll just say what I wanted to say. I would say don't wait until you feel ready, right? And as always, I speak from experience. I was never ready to break into tech, but I just jumped into it and I found myself loving it. As much as I resonate a lot with what Bukola mentioned about keep learning, keep growing, but don't wait until you know everything before you actually start, And like I said before, try to reach out to people who already have the experience, people that you can trust, so that you feel that guidance in your journey to break into tech. But don't wait till you feel ready, basically, is all I wanted to say. Be curious, right? Be curious to learn as much as you can, but take action, Yeah.
Fantastic, Pippa. Thank you so much for that really awesome response. Don't wait until you are ready and, seek guidance, mentorship. Pippa did share early on how, that really impacted her career, her trajectory, community, finding like-minded people, how that really inspired her. So yes, I 100% agree. I think it's one of the things that we have on a lockdown at 10Analytics. It's really understanding that community is a critical part of your journey, especially as a woman, and it's really funny because I remember the most impactful person one of the most impactful women actually in my career was like a first line manager. And it was how much she gave. She was so, I hear people talking about things like competition and all of that, women in the workspace. I've never experienced that, at least that wasn't my experience coming in. And I think that defined and shaped how I viewed women and how I collaborate with women, because she pulled me close. I remember she used to tell me that you need to grow a thick skin. You need to grow a thick skin. You can't always take everything to heart, okay? You can't control what happens in a room, but you can control how you respond to it. That's the only way you're going to get up there. And, she was really, really impactful. And I'm saying that's why it's so important for young women to have women as mentors, to have really powerful women who have gone through their own journey, who have discovered themselves, who can now give back to the community. And that's why we are inviting every woman on this call to step up and step into her power so that you can be that voice for all of these women, for all of the women who are coming up behind you. Okay, so thank you so much, Pippa, for that. Okay, we've got some questions here. iPhone is saying that it's for everyone. So Pippa, because you're a business analyst, he said, I don't really know anything about tech, but I really want to learn simply because I need to keep up with what's going on in the world. What do I have to do? Do you want to take this question, Pippa?
Yes, I'm happy to take that. So if you don't really know anything about tech, why do you want to learn about it is what I would think is what is your end goal, basically? Why are you looking to break into tech fast? So understanding your reason will help you to understand or know what area of tech it is you want. There's so many job titles. So I can understand the overwhelm, right, in knowing about tech, right? But it's difficult for me to answer without knowing where specifically in tech you want to learn. And because tech is really broad, there are people-facing role in tech. Tech is not only about programming or coding, right? It's all about relationship building. So it's first, what I tell my mentees is to do a personal SWOT analysis. What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And where there are weaknesses, how can you turn those into strengths? And what opportunities are there for you to actually break into that? So once you know your strength, is it people? Is it relationship building? Is it quick learning? Is it system knowledge, right? Whether you have some sort of experience with using certain systems, like maybe D365 or SharePoint, right? Why is it really you want to break into tech, and what specific area of tech you want to break into? And then what is your personal SWOT analysis will then help you to close into what area you want in tech. And then you can start doing the work to learn, right? Whether it's courses. I started with YouTube. There's so much information on YouTube. Just type, what is the easiest tech job I could break into? And there's so many, so that you can understand the different job roles and then find which one fits for you, so that you can then know what specific knowledge you need to build. I hope that helps with answering the question.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Pippa. One thing I picked out of what you said, because I'm learning so much talking to you women, one thing I picked out is a SWOT analysis. And yeah, funny enough, I really do love the framework, and then, you put a spin on it, doing a SWOT analysis on yourself. I never thought about that. Absolutely analyze what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what the opportunities are, what the threats are. Just don't put other women on the list, okay? But yes, SWOT analysis, absolutely fantastic. That's a phenomenal response. Thank you so much, Pippa. So I hope that we've gotten value for that. As we go on, I will answer some questions as well, because I see that we're getting some more questions in the chat section. Fantastic. Nicole. Okay, Nicole, back to you again. All right, so the same question, Nicole. We've heard from Bukola, we've heard from Pippa. What do you think or what is one advice that you have for women who are building themselves while also lifting others? How do I how do I build myself up and still carry others with me and, design inclusive solutions, while also pouring into myself?
Mm. Gosh, I think Bukola and Pippa did such a great job at giving advice. I want to give three things actually, from a different perspective. I want to start off by saying that you need to take care of yourself. I think you need to ensure that you are maintaining and managing your mental and physical health. You need to live healthy and well for as long as possible. And why I mention this is because you can't really help others if you are running at half mast. If your tank is empty, what more can you give to others? So I think that's really important for me, is to take care of yourself and put yourself first. The second one is I want you to think about where you are putting your energy and focus into, because what you focus on will grow. And so to ensure that you are focusing on something that is always adding value, building things that create value, those systems and communities around you that will also grow with you in value. And then lastly, and so important, I mentioned I have 2 kids. I don't remember if I mentioned that I'm married, but for those of you who are not married, perhaps you have a business partner, whatever it may be, choose your partners wisely. Choose your network, who you surround yourself with wisely. The people that you build with matter just as much as what you build. So those are my 3 pieces of advice, just to bookend Bukola and Pippa's great advice.
Fantastic. I mean, those 3 were just awesome, but what really resonated with me, and I don't know what resonated with everyone else, but you said, there are 2 things. The first one is take care of yourself. Oh, geez. As women, please, 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 please take care of yourself. Women are constantly taking care of everybody. I should know, I'm a first daughter. I grew up taking care of everybody. One day I realized, what about me? So take care of yourself as women. And then, and also to the men as well. We're not going to leave you guys out. Our precious allies, also take care of yourself and take care of the special women in your lives too. And they don't even have to be special for you to take care of them. Just take care of every woman. Okay. She also said, choose your partners wisely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Choose your partners wisely. And one of the reasons why this really resonates is because women are deep when it comes to typically, stereotypically how we feel. And, this has been packaged as a bad thing, as something that is not really desired. I think that, as a woman is one of my superpowers, my ability to care for the people in my life deeply. I think it's one of the things that makes me a really strong woman, how I'm able to hold space for the people in my life. And it also has its bad sides as well. It's also one of the things that makes it possible, for certain things to happen and you're not able to set up proper boundaries. So choose your partners wisely, especially when you know that you care very deeply about people. You care very deeply about things. So you have to ensure that whatever it is that comes into your space, that you vet it before it gets into your space. This can mess with your head, and that can mess with your career. It can mess with your personal life as well. So choose your partners. Anyone who is coming into your space, choose them wisely, because that would impact how far you can go, to be honest. So thank you so much for that, Nicole. That was really amazing. I think there is a question for you in the chat. I saw someone say, okay, it was just someone agreeing with you. Pour more in yourself before others. Okay, money helps. More money helps support communities and more impact. Also, choose your community wisely. Absolutely. Yes, Nicole dropped some real ones with that. So thank you so much, Nicole, Pippa, Bukola. I am so honored. Everyone here, I'm speaking for them now. I don't know, guys, should I speak for you or do you want to say a few words, to Bukola, Pippa, and Nicole, because they shared so many amazing things, because you can just drop a thank you in the chat. That was really amazing. You can just say one thing that either of them said that really resonated with you. Could be Pippa, Nicole, or Bukola. But as we bring this panel to a close, what did they say that really impacted you? Bola is saying, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Bola. But I would like everyone here to just drop one thing. What did they say that really impacted you? Okay, or you can say thank you. That's also fine. But thank you so much, guys, ladies. Really appreciate you coming up here and sharing your stories with us, sharing your background with us. And one thing that I would say is, to every woman on this call is build your table and then make room at it. Do not wait for permission to lead, to create, to grow. And when you get there, when you get to that place, please and please do not close the door behind you. Do not close the door behind you. There's one thing that every woman here has shared. At the core of it, it is share your knowledge, share access, create space for everyone at your side, behind you, and even in front of you as well, because now you're surrounded by community, and together we are stronger. So thank you so much for coming up here, Bukola, Pippa, Nicole. Looking forward to having you guys next time. I do want to show us something though. In honor of IWD, I would love to talk about a few things. So this is to everyone. Let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about people who have benefited, women in particular, who have benefited from tech programs, and how this has shaped their lives. There is one story that I really, really, really love to share. It's the story of a woman called Ikmat. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom. And I want us to just listen to the story of Ikmat and how Ikmat was able to change her life through Tenalytics. Let me just stop sharing my screen for a minute. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom, and Ikmat had a 2-year employment gap. And one of the reasons why this really resonates is because, again, IWD women, Ikmat she moved from Nigeria, and she stayed at home for about 2 years, raising her kids. And then, she also moved to the UK for her master's in public health. So she didn't really have, she wasn't working. And you know how it is when you have a 2-year gap on your resume, when you go out to apply for jobs, what have you been doing? Hello? So Ikmat was at that space in her life. And Ikmat really needed to gain an opportunity. So she joins the Tenalytics Data Analytics Program. And in January 2024, Ikmat landed a role as an information analyst with the NHS. And this came with a full visa sponsorship. Now, the reason why Ikmat's story is so amazing is because this is another woman. And by the way, we've got so many women whose lives have been impacted by Tenalytics. Like I said, this session is all about breaking barriers and, driving, pushing for that visibility that we have been talking about. We need more and more women in this space. We need more and more women in every industry on the planet. And this is one woman who was able to get beyond the, oh my goodness, I do not have, I don't have work experience on my resume. It's been 2 years. She went from that in a couple of months to landing a job with the NHS. And this could be you. This could be you. So the question is, how do you move from that? Now, we've got a number of people on the call. We've got people who are doctors. We've got people who work in the healthcare field. We've got people maybe who work in finance, who work in construction. We've got people from different walks of life. So how in the world do you start your transition? How in the world do you start your transition? The first thing is you need to find the right career path. And what does that entail? Finding the right career path means, finding the one that fits your personality, finding the one that fits you, just like Paula touched on, and Pippa also touched on that. Now at Tenalytics, what we have done is that we have done a 3-step analysis to help you narrow down the choices. So when you're doing your SWOT analysis, this is going to make things easier for you. The first thing is that we analyze job boards. Popular job boards like LinkedIn, like Indeed, like Total Jobs, like Monster. And we have taken care of the first step for you, which is which ones are in high demand, which ones are high paying. So we analyze this to see which jobs are they posting the most. Then the next thing is we validated this against the future of jobs report, which I believe is what Bukola was referring to when she was talking about that report that highlights, the jobs that are going to be in the future and the ones that are taking over. And I think she touched on something like that, construction, plumbing, and the rest are being taken over by AI. So we also validate this against the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. And then we do a regional analysis, UK, US, Canada. What jobs gives you access to the most opportunities in these regions? Now, when we did this, we arrived at all of these conclusions that you're looking at. We've got more, but we're going to focus on this today. Business analyst, data analyst, product design, agile projects manager, financial analyst, HR analyst, and product design. These are roles that are in high demand, and because they are in high demand, they are also high paying as well. And this is in any part of the world. Now, I want to just quickly touch on another story of another incredible woman called Ramat. So Ramat joined the 10Analytics Business Analyst Program. And what Ramat did right after she was done with this was that while she was in the program, she tailored her resume. And this is something we always tell people. We help you refine your resume because beyond learning the skill, the employability aspect is also very important. We provide you with a range of opportunities, like for employability, like mentorship, CV revamp, and others, interview prep, portfolio design. I'm going to walk into that. I'm going to show you more of that as we move along. But Ramat took advantage of all of this and she applied to multiple jobs. Sometimes you see some people who will say things like, I need a job. You need a job, but you are not applying. How is that going to happen? So just like all the women have shared here on the call, take charge, start to apply, put yourself out there. People said, don't wait until you're ready. Don't wait until everything is perfect before you do it. Just do it. So Ramat was out there. She was applying for these jobs. And in October 2023, Ramat landed a job as a business architect with the NHS in the UK. And she got her job only 2 months after completing the program. Now, the second thing we want to do for you to transition into tech is for you to learn the skills that are required to land these high demand jobs. Now, we've spoken about these career paths. How in the world do you learn this? It's one thing for you to know, oh, this is the career path I want. I want to be a data analyst. I'm seeing some people who are interested in that field in the comment section. I want to be a business analyst, but then how do you learn? So we have over the last 5 years, we have tried out different methods, different frameworks, and we have discovered that when you learn in a project-based environment, that is what will give you the most results. And trust me when I tell you this, we've done this over 4,000 times and counting, and we have realized that learning in a project-based environment it's you doing it while you are learning. Now, the difference is that when you're learning on platforms like, say, Coursera, Udemy, and others, it's you go on, you're watching your video, and, after a while, you drop off, maybe you don't join again, you watch your video, you write a couple of things down, but this is learning by doing from the start. You are learning by doing from the start. And when I say learning by doing, it means even the way your environment is designed. It is designed in such a deliberate way that it is like you have already started work. I tell people, during mentorship sessions, that when you come in, just think, this is my department. We have something we call pods. A cohort is broken down into smaller groups, and those smaller groups are called pods. So you could have about 5 people, 10 people in your pod, but in total, you could have, a lot of people in your cohorts. This allows you to build a community inside of your community, and it allows you to build very strong connections. One thing that all of the women here said, Nicole, Bukola, Pipa, was they were heavy on build communities. So that is something that you want to take advantage of. So learning a project-based environment and then showcase your work. You showcase your work by building a portfolio. Now, in the first instance, you build your portfolio. You say, this is what I have done. And then you now design all of that. You take all of the impressive projects that you have built and you put that in the portfolio. And this is what you present in the market when you're applying for jobs to employers, to recruiters, because this is evidence. It is proof that you are actually driven this impact. So you want to combine this two when you are learning a new skill. This is the best way for you to land a job. Now, the third one, and I've got 4 on my list. The third one is for you to gain the experience to show employers that you are the best candidate. So we've already spoken about this, right? You build your projects in class through project-based learning. And then when you spend, so the way our programs are designed, it's broken down into 2 steps. For 8 months, and that's how long you spend in your program, 8 months. For the first 6 months, you learn internal analytics. So you're building your projects, you're with your pod, you're brainstorming, you're building your community, you're learning maybe data analytics, business analysis, you're getting used to the system, you know. And then the next 2 months you graduate, and then you move to Amdari, where you do your internship. So it's broken down into 2, the learning and then the internship phase. In Amdari, you get the opportunity to also refine your portfolio. You gain access to a wealth of projects that you can work on. And some of our project partners include, you know, Credify, Golden Haven, CryptoNest, EcoNest, Lonely. So it's not even a case of, well, what projects do I work on? You will have projects, real case studies. You know, one of the things about people who are breaking into this market and they come with, you know, generic portfolios, where they just go pick a random case study, do a random case study on Uber. In many cases, what it signals to the employers, to the recruiters, is that you don't even have enough, you haven't done enough for you to even be applying for this job. If you have enough experience, or if you've done something at the very least, you would have real case studies in your portfolio, and this is what this gives you access to. So you will find this when you get to Amdari. Now let's talk about the project, the kind of skills that you would be learning if you come in on any of these levels as a business analyst. If you come in as a business analyst, you'll be learning things like Excel, Power BI, SQL, but really, what is business analysis? So we heard Pippa talk about business analysis. She just touched on it a bit. You know, business analysis is, you know, solving problems. I call a business analyst a translator. A business analyst will talk to the technical team, and then we'll talk to the customers, we'll talk to the business team, and then translate everything, put it all together into a bunch of requirements and say, hey, this is what we need for us to move the business forward. And that is what business analysts do. For this, we need a range of skills. You need to know how to use Excel, Power BI, SQL. You need to learn process mapping, project initiation planning, ChatGPT for business analysis, because yes, the world has moved to a point where everything that we're learning now, AI has to be included. You learn a range of tools, Draw.io, Trello, Confluence, Jira, Lucidchart, and others. Now that's for business analysts. Now for the project management track, as a project manager, I like to think of project managers as conductors in an orchestra. So a product manager is saying, hey, you do this, or how about we do this? How do we manage risks? And they're constantly moving around, talking to everyone, trying to figure out how they can deliver the project on time. So in this track, you will be learning things like Kanban boards. You'll be learning things like, you know, the methodologies of project management, the foundations of Agile and Scrum, understanding the framework of Scrum, the Scrum artifacts. You would learn how to use tools like Confluence, like Jira, like Trello, in order for you to manage projects and project teams from start to finish. Now, all of this, I'm going to talk more about the classes, I'm going to talk more about the schedule as we go on, but let's talk about health tech. So health tech is a program that is absolutely exploding. And health tech is fantastic for people who have the background in healthcare already. If you do not have a background in healthcare, then that is fine. If you still want to transition into health tech, if you have an interest in health in general, then absolutely it's fantastic for you. There was something that Bukola mentioned when she was talking about designing inclusive systems. And for people who are looking to design inclusive systems for women, you know, and men together, so you're bringing a unique, diverse perspective, I think health tech would be perfect for you. So in this track, you would learn things like problem solving, you would learn how to use Power BI, Tableau, how to tell stories using data, ChatGPT, Microsoft Fabrics for analytics. So this is focusing on an aspect of healthcare, which is health tech. And it's you would learn to use tools like Excel, tools like Tableau, like Power BI, like ChatGPT, and others. Okay, now let's talk about the other tracks. Just a minute, please. Okay, so this is one of the portfolio of someone who is in health tech. Her name is Melody. Melody is a data analyst, and Melody has designed fantastic portfolios. I'm just going to show us one of her portfolios. This one is called Novamed Pharmaceuticals, and it is focused on a pharmaceutical company. I'm going to expand this, but when I say build a portfolio for the employability aspects, this is exactly what I mean. So when you are applying for jobs, your recruiters will be looking at this. Your recruiters, the employers, this is what they will see, and this is what would help them make that decision. Do I want to bring this person on board? Do I want to hire this person? Because for them, they need to see proof. And this is one of the mistakes that a lot of people in the markets make when they're applying for jobs. You're applying for this job where you're not attaching proof to it. Your resume, I like to say your resume and your portfolio both work as show and tell. One of them is your show and one of them is your tell. Your resume, your CV is your tell. You can say, oh, I optimized processes by 25%. I did this by 50%. I drove up revenue by 2%. That is you telling us what you have done. However, your portfolio is where you show us what you have done. And together, that is a powerful combination that impacts the way the market views you and the seriousness of your application. Because it shows me that you have evidence that you have done this before, and this is how I would take you seriously. Now, learning the skill is just one aspect. A lot of people do not focus on the other aspect, which is building the employability part, which is why they would apply for jobs and they would not be getting the responses that they need. Now, let's talk about the other track, data analyst. Now, you would find that data analyst is kind of similar to health tech because they both focus on data. However, the difference is in what they focus on. For health tech, it's about healthcare and technology, combining healthcare, technology, and data. For the data analytics track, it is entirely about data, using data to solve problems and to tell stories. So in this track, you'll be learning things like SQL, like Power BI, like Tableau. You will be learning things like ChatGPT for analytics, problem solving through data. And then the tools that you will be learning on this track include tools like Excel, like Power BI, like Tableau, Fabrics, and so on and so forth. Yes, all the tools that you need in order for you to successfully transition. Now let's talk about the financial analyst track. Here you will be learning things like problem solving, sensitivity and scenario analysis, accounting fundamentals. Do you ladies and men remember there was this sound that was trending on TikTok? Rather, it was, I'm looking for a man in finance. So in this case, I'm looking for a sister in finance. So if you're a girl who loves data, you love, you're interested in the financial analyst track, if you're a man who is interested in that, then this is perfect for you. You would learn things like financial modeling, valuation, accounting fundamentals. And then in this track, you would learn how to use financial modeling and valuation tools. You would learn Power BI, you would learn SQL, ChatGPT, Excel. And there's a pattern I'm going to call out at some point. I hope that we're all making that connection. And then we've also got the HR analyst track. So here you'll be learning things like HR analytics, performance evaluation, HR analysis and dashboarding. So this is, focusing on the people space of data, using data to guide workforce decisions, using data to find the best people, to retain the best talent. Because at the end of the day, what makes a company go up or down? It really is the people. The company and organization is a makeup of its people from top to bottom. So talent is very important. And Bukola knows all about that, by the way. So as a HR analyst, you'll be learning how to use data to make data-driven decisions, to retain talents, to find the best talents. And in this track, you'll be learning things like Power BI, like Excel, like SQL, ChatGPT, HR metrics, and so on. Now, in all of these tracks, like I mentioned, there is a pattern. Let's talk about product design. Now, product design is for people who are really, really creative. And for the people who love colors, who love visuals, who love aesthetics. You open up a website and you think to yourself, nah, this could have been better. So in that case, yeah, you probably have the soul of a designer. So in this track, you'll be learning things like, foundation, introduction to product and UX design. UX, by the way, means user experience. You'll be learning human-centered and inclusive design principles. Okay, I'm sure we must have heard the word inclusive a couple of times on this call. So I don't know if it's speaking to anybody here. You'll be learning how to conduct user research. You'll be learning how to define user problems and craft value propositions. You would also learn the actual tools like Figma AI. You would learn how to ideate visually. You would learn how to conduct usability tests, how to iterate on feedbacks. A couple of tools that you would learn how to use here includes Framer, Claude, Notion, and even Figma itself. Now, I was talking about a trend in all of this, and the one trend is ChatGPT. That's the one trend that you would find. ChatGPT, I think I also mentioned Claude as well, but this speaks to how AI is shaping the technology world. It's a fundamental part of every course that you are learning, every track that you are getting into. And because we design these courses to respond to real life situations, that is why AI is being included. These days, you go to job descriptions, you are reading them, just use your tool, Command F, or Control F, and just type in AI. And you would find that almost every job, if not all these days, all have AI embedded in it. Because at the end of the day, for companies, for them, it's all about driving revenue. It's about creating impact. And how do you do that if you are not up to date with what is actually making work faster? So one business analyst knows how to use AI to write user stories in a minute, really, or even less, because she's fantastic at writing prompts. And the other one is doing it in a traditional way. So it takes her a couple of, maybe about 30 minutes. For companies, they would naturally want the candidate who makes things faster for them, because faster means less resources. Faster means that we get to save more time. And when we spend less resources and we save more time, it equals more money for the business, aka higher revenue. So think about that. Now, what is your 10 analytics advantage? I'm really excited to get into this part because this is what many of you are here for. What do I get out of it? You've spoken about learn a new skill. You've mentioned a couple of them. You've broken down the tracks, but what do I get out of this? Especially if I take this journey with 10 analytics. Now, you see what is on my screen here? Skills, experience, the employability aspect, and building a winning application strategy. I'm going to break this down for us on the next page. So now we have a system that we call LPA. LPA stands for learn. Learn is where you choose, you focus on the skills that you want to learn. Now, do not be a jack of all trades, master of none. You want to focus on one. You want to focus on one and you want to do it well. You want to do it well. And then when you learn, you move to the next level, which is the package. Package is how the market receives you. Package is how the market sees you, how they perceive you, the recruiters, the employers, and this is a makeup of a bunch of things. That includes, number one, your CV revamp. It includes things like, your LinkedIn. Let's even talk about your CV revamp. Are we aware that there is a tool called ATS, which is the Applicant Tracking System? And that would literally bounce any CV that does not have keywords in a job description. And this is why we always encourage people, read your job description and then optimize your CV so that it would the ATS would pick it up if you're applying to a job where they have used that to streamline the workflow. It is so important, but then even the structure of it as well. Employers, recruiters, they don't have time. Think about it. They are scrolling hundreds of resumes. Nobody has time to sit down and read your resume like a novel. So the way you design it, its readability is very important to the experience of the person who is skimming through it or looking through it. Your portfolio, we've spoken about the show and tell. Your LinkedIn is literally your marketplace. It's how you sell yourself. When you're looking for a job, your LinkedIn has to look like the LinkedIn of someone who is ready to be found by the people who want to find you. Mentorship. We spoke a lot about mentorship on this call because growing alone is literally impossible or incredibly hard. It's kind of possible, but it is so much harder. And why do you have to do it alone when you can move even faster, when you can move with a community that acts as a force multiplier for you? So you don't have to do it alone. Then interview preparation. I don't know about, you guys. I've experienced, I go sometimes back then, I would go for interviews and I would just be very nervous. A lot of times it's because maybe you haven't prepared well, or, maybe you just didn't have support. Maybe you have friends and you can sit and say, okay, here are the interview questions, or some interview questions may probably come up. Interview me, how, and let's see, the way I answer those questions. So how we take care of things like that is we help you prepare. We call it interview prep. So when you're a part of the 10Analytics community, you have access to book as many interview preps as you need. So if you get an interview 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, you can come in and book an interview prep, and we are here to support you. Your facilitator would look at, your mentor would look at the job description, would look at the job that you're applying for, the resume you applied with, and together you would come up with a strategy. You would come up with a winning strategy that would help you stand out. And I have to say, this is absolutely fundamental to passing or scaling through the space. And a lot of people in our community take advantage of this opportunity. Job reference. Now, job reference is so important, especially for immigrants, people who move from Nigeria, from Nairobi, from different countries and relocated to the UK, to the US and Canada. One of the biggest barriers that they face is being employable in the market. You get feedback like, well, you don't have local experience, you have to go to school again, or you don't have local experience, in the working context, of this country. And then, it's like, but how do I get experience if nobody will hire me? So the way 10Analytics completely breaks down the barrier here is we always advise people, as soon as you join 10Analytics, just go on your LinkedIn and add 10Analytics add yourself as a consultant. So this is literally you getting started. This is you've just gotten your offer. As soon as you join us, you have just gotten your offer. So you go there and say, I'm a consultant with 10Analytics, and let's say you sign up for the business analysis track. You're a business analyst consultant. And this is how we help people manage this. So when you eventually get a job, you don't have to worry about things like reference because we've got your back. Now, on the job support, we have people who would reach out, even years after they have graduated and say, hey, I need support. I have questions. I don't know how to handle this. And we are always here to support people like that. So that is the LP. Now let's talk about the apply. Apply is the way you apply. Apply is, sending out quality applications, not quantity. Focus on quality. Only apply to jobs that you actually want. Some people actually think that the number of jobs they apply to, if I throw out like 100 applications a day, that is what increases your chances of getting a job. But that's not true. Quality applications, focus on jobs that you actually want, and then, optimize to ensure that your CV is the perfect fit. I believe it was Nicole who said, you want to choose your battles wisely. And we can apply that to this. Choose your battles wisely. It's not every job you want to apply to. Only apply to the ones that are actually worth it. And we always advise, apply to at least 10 a day. And then you also get to tap into a paid and hidden job market. So one thing that we've also done to make this extremely easy for the people in our community is that we give you access to jobs that you would typically not have access to. So when I talk about job boards, what comes into mind? One of the things that will pop into your head will probably be Indeed, it would be LinkedIn, or one of these other really popular job boards. But there are tons of others out there. And the reason why some of us do not know about this is because they are paid. So instead of you having to subscribe to all of these job platforms, we do that for you. We bring these people on board as partners, and then we get access to exclusive job boards. And those job boards, we scrape them, and then we come to you with quality jobs that you can apply to every single week. Now, when you put all of this together, the L, the P, the A, all of this equals to job. I have to say, you cannot do the A without the P. You cannot do the L without the P. Everything has to work together in perfect synergy in order for you to get the job. So it is 100% possible for you if you apply this and you commit to this. Now let's talk about your program duration. At 10Analytics, it is 6 months learning, like I said, and then after 6 months, 2 months you spend in your internship with Amdari. Now, classes, when do classes happen and what does learning look like? So you have live videos, watch me do it videos, and you can watch it anytime. It's sort of like your recorded videos that you can watch. You have access to this on your LMS. You can watch it at your own convenience. You also have live classes that happen on Saturdays. Now, it happens in the morning, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time. And then it also happens in the evening as well, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK time. And then between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Canadian or US time. So these live classes are designed, to complement your watch me do it videos learning. So you're learning in 2 ways, a blended learning approach. You're watching your videos and then you're also coming into class where you can ask questions, where you can talk to people, you can talk to your facilitators and say, oh, I tried to do this, but I don't know what's going on, But then aside from this, you also have access to mentorship sessions. Now, mentorship sessions happen every Thursday at 10 p.m. UK time and every Thursday at 8 p.m. Canadian time. So you pair all of this together. You also have access to a community, your pod. Remember, I spoke about the community. Inside the community, which is your pod, your cohort, you have access to career consultants, you have access to mentors, you have access to your facilitators. All of this put together is what prepares you to venture out there into the world and become employed. But like I said, even along the way, we are still providing you with support. I want to also talk about a story that's actually very close to my heart. I love to share Judith's story because Judith moved from care to becoming a business analyst. And the way she did it was absolutely phenomenal. Judith came across this opportunity when she went to her child's school and she met up with a friend. So she was already thinking, I had background as a HR. She was in Nigeria. But then when she got to the UK, she faced so many challenges and she had to become a carer in the UK while she was studying. She couldn't find a job in her field because, again, I don't have local experience, but how will I get local experience if nobody employs me? And then Judith went to her son's school one day and she met up with someone who had learned with 10Analytics, and that just came up and she thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to give this guy a try. So Judith was actually referred to 10Analytics. Now, she joined the business analysis program in March 2024. And I kid you not, Judith, who had issues breaking into the market and finding a job and then had to go for care, 3 months after she started the program, got an offer. She landed a job as a business analyst working remotely in the US from the UK. Now, isn't that absolutely phenomenal? Please fill out the attendance form in the chat that my colleagues are sharing so that you can gain access to all of the resources that I am using here. You can click here, you can watch the video, you can watch Julie's video, you can watch Ikmat's video that I shared earlier. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to keep it moving, but you really should. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that you have to make a change in 2026. You absolutely have to make a change in 2026 and step up. What career path are you looking to step into? And just like all of the women have shared here, it is so important that you take action. Pippa mentioned that you can think about it, you can be very careful, but take action. So do not stay in that space of waiting. Do not wait. Take action. Now, let me tell you what you get if you take action, if you take a chance on yourself today. Not tomorrow, but today. Now, the first thing that you gain access to is the Founder Circle. So you gain access to a transition roadmap. You gain access to a guide on jobs. You gain access to direct founders. So you get to talk to myself. You get to talk to Adeza. You get to talk to leadership about your career, about transitioning. You get to have sessions with us to talk to us about the unique challenges and get direct advice. And this is if you choose to get started today. And this is because we can only offer this to a limited amount of people. And that's why we're just capping it only for today. Now, another thing that you also gain access to now, typically what we do is that the mentorship sessions, we only start this when you start your program. So when your cohort starts, then you gain access to mentorship. But we are going to open this up to you so that you can begin to get value immediately. You can start to learn from industry experts. We've got people here who already have some level of experience, who have even put their resume together to an extent, who are applying for jobs. In mentorship sessions, we talk about a couple of things. We talk about employability. We talk about optimizing your LinkedIn. We talk about how to become interview ready. We talk about how to win in interviews, how to build confidence, and a bunch of other things that focuses radically on your employability skills. We run interview simulations as well. So you get to see people who are learning just like you, transitioning into the same career path that you are, running interview simulations live. So this is really amazing. You also gain access as well to sessions where you can learn UK visa pathways. So for those of us in the UK, I see some people dropping questions about sponsorship. So you want to take advantage of this. You gain access to a UK Global Talents Visa session where you get to learn, how you can transition in the UK, and you get to learn about, the visa landscape, the regulatory landscape in the UK, and then you also get to ask questions as well. And then one thing that you also have to consider is time waits for nobody. So if you gain access to this today, all of this, you get them one time, and then you also get lifetime interview prep. You know what that means? It means that anytime you have an interview, you can reach out to Tenalytics and we are there to support you. We're there to, brainstorm with you. Okay, are you applying to Amazon? Okay, fantastic. Let's take a look at Amazon. And then we look it up, we find their problems, their failure points. Together, we put together a fantastic case study that you can just go into an interview and completely blow the minds of the recruiters with how prepared you are. You also get access to lifetime references. That is, you don't even have to be in the Tenalytics program for you to reach out to us for references. In 2 years, in 3 years, you can still reach out to Tenalytics. And then you also gain access as well to lifetime mentorship access. So even while you are in the market, even when you have graduated, you can always join mentorship sessions and learn from experts in the industry. Now, everything I'm saying is leading up to this. Our next cohort is starting April 11. April 11, that is only a few weeks away, but that is not all, okay? That is not all, so hold on, there's more. Now, we are currently running an IWD discount for all the ladies in the house. This one is to you, and of course for the men as well. This is also for you. We're running an IWD discount. Now, the full amount for all of these programs I just walked you through, health tech to product to HR analytics, is $1,250 in dollars. However, this is discounted to $600. So you're getting 52% off. But that's not all. I am not done. You also can get started with just $200. So this is for people who maybe say, well, I'm not really sure about it. Is this the right thing for me? Is this the right track for me? Do I really get value? We've got people who would ask us questions like, are those reviews on your page even real at all? So you can come in here and you can verify for yourself. You can get started with only $200 and immediately start to get value, especially if you take action today. Now, I'm going to quickly show us what this looks like. So my colleagues right now are dropping in the chat section the link for you to register if you are ready to take action right now. But then together, we're just going to do a quick walkthrough of what this looks like if you are ready to sign up. Okay, so if you're ready to sign up, just click on the link in the chat that my colleagues are dropping, and you can do this process with me. But we're going to do it together. I'm just going to go to the website. So if you're ready, go to the website, and then you want to go down to whatever course you want to go for. So let's say in this case, you want to go for data analyst. So I'm going to click on that. And I got there by going through Start Learning, and then you come down. So you're getting the link to the courses page. So you just select the one that you want to go for. Now, when you go there, you come to this page where you can see a course description. You can see the amount here. You can see this is $600 because it's already discounted. And remember, I think I've not mentioned this, but this is for the first 20 people, by the way. So only 20 people are getting access to everything that I mentioned before, like the founder circle and a bunch of other things, lifetime mentorship, lifetime references. So if you are ready to take action, you really want to step into it, and you want to step into it now. So then you want to click on Enroll Now. When you click on Enroll Now, it's going to take you down to the enrollment page where you can fill your data in. So you would come to a page like this where you can register with your full name and with your email address. I'm just going to come here and fetch an email for myself. Okay, so I'm going to fetch an email for myself here. I used this previously, so I'm just going to change that. This is a test link, by the way, so don't even think about testing. It's not going to work for you. So just click on the link that my colleagues are sharing in the chat, and you can continue your sign up with me. Okay, so I've gotten my email. Now I'm going to come here. So use your actual email address to complete this process, by the way. I'm going to post my email address here, and then, put in your full name, and then you can also put in your phone number as well. Then you want to click on, you've read the terms and conditions. You should read the terms and conditions before you do that. And that's it. You have successfully created your account. Now, the next step is you want to select what cohort you want to start in. Now, remember, I spoke about the next cohort starting on the 11th of April. We also have another cohort that is starting May, on the 7th of May. So you can either go for the next cohort that's starting the next couple of weeks, or you can register for the one that's starting, in May. But I would advise that you step into it, and you step into it today. Okay, so go for the priority cohort. And then, as you can see, it is broken down into different payment plans. You have the pay once, and then you also have 3 installments as well. So with 3 installments, you get to pay $200 in 3 installments. With pay once, you pay your $600 once, and you lock in your IWD discount. If you choose to go for 3 installments as well, don't worry. You can still lock it in at IWD, at the IWD price, so no worries. So you're going to scroll down here. You can see your fee breakdown. I'm going to come here and select, 3 installments, just so we can see what that looks like. And then you can see that what is due today is $200. And then I'm going to come here. So I want you to take note of this. Change my next payment date. A lot of people miss this, but we've used this feature specifically for people who say things like, well, my payday, it happens at the end of the week, or it comes bi-weekly, or it comes at the end of the month. So you get to choose which date works best for you. You can push it back. So if I'm paying today, naturally, my next payment date would be on the 11th, but I can actually select a new date. I can say, you know what, I want my next payment date to be on the 30th of April. And then if I do that, my next payment date moves to the 30th of April. So you get to choose the next date where you want to do your payment. So that's a feature that you should take note of in case there are any complexities in regards to what that looks like for you. And then now I'm going to click on Pay Now. This level, I will confirm my details, and that's it. So I'm hoping that we are completing the sign up with me. So it is a do it with me process. And then this takes you to Stripe, where you complete your checkout in your currency. Okay, so I'm going to just do this. This is a test card, by the way, so don't think that you can test this. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the dates. I'm going to put in my dates here, and then my CVC, put in my name, and then, that's it. And we are in. That's it. Very easy for you to complete your payment, and that's it. So my colleagues are dropping a link right now in the chat for you to complete your payment. You want to click on that link, and you want to complete your payment and take full advantage of the discount that is running right now, because this discount is not going to be here. It's only here for the next 20 people who take action. And I'm sure there are a bunch of people who are already taking action. You want to be a part of those people, click on that link and complete your sign up. Now, once you are done with your sign up, the next process is for you to verify your email. So you're going to go back to your email, and then you're going to fetch the code that was sent to your email. Very easy. And then you're going to come back here. Now, the reason why we do this is so that we get your accurate, just want to ensure that your email is accurate so that we can reach out to you and, help with your onboarding if you need any help. Then you put your code in, and that's it. Your email is verified. Now, at this point, we're going to redirect you to a page where we're going to collect more information to be sure of what your learning journey looks like. Now, the first one is, what country do you reside in? And that could be Algeria, it could be Antarctica, so I'm going to click Antarctica here. And then you can select your gender, it could be male, female, or you decline to say that. And then this is where you select your preferred schedule for your Saturday classes. Remember that we spoke about Saturday classes? So that can happen in the morning, 11 a.m., or it can happen in the evening at 6 p.m. What? Or 11 a.m. What? And, so I'm going to select morning. I'm going to select in the morning. And then, how did you learn about analytics? Analytics, I learned about it on Twitter. If you have an alternative email, you want to put that here. If you've got a referral code, you want to put that here. We do get lots and lots of referrals. So maybe if you're referred by someone, you want to ensure you fetch their code and you put it here. Now, what made you register with Tenalytics? Obviously, it is because Tenalytics is simply amazing. Why else? Now you're going to select how much time can you commit to learning weekly. Some people can do, up to 3 hours per week. Some can do, up to 10 hours per week. But this gives us information about how to approach your learning journey, how to curate that for you. So you want to ensure that you're truthful when it comes to that. Now, when you're done with this, voila, you have access to your dashboard in very easy and quick steps. We have an onboarding checklist that is designed to get to know you better. But beyond that, we also have a bunch of things that you want to take advantage of here, which is, depending on which one you go for, business analysis, data analytics, you have a couple of videos that of tools that you need to install in your device. So you want to watch the videos. We have installation videos that you can watch. And then you learn how to install it on your device. So you want to install Power BI, for example. What is the process? So you can just watch the video, and to do it with me video created specially for you. You also have an orientation video. I'm excited for you guys to watch the video, by the way, because we created it with you in mind. And then, of course, a readiness quiz. Now, this readiness quiz is how we once you get in, you realize that you have structures like pods, and in every pod there is a pod leader. So for those of us who are excited about getting into leadership roles, this readiness quiz is how we identify your shadow personality. Is how we identify, what drives you beneath everything else, and how we can design your learning journey to ensure that it supports who you are as a person, not just the course that you are transitioning into. So you want to be very honest with that. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm hoping that, as we were going along this journey, that a bunch of us were also doing this with me, so that, you lock down your spots. Now remember that we only have a few of these slots left. Now at the moment, we have 160 slots, 160 of women who have already enrolled. We have 70 slots. We have 70 slots left for men. And then out of the 300 slots that we had initially put aside for women, we have 160 that has already been taken. So you want to ensure that you move fast, and you move really, really fast, because we don't have a lot of time, guys. Now, we only have these offers. Remember the offers that I walked you through? The Founder Circle, lifetime mentorship, and a bunch of other things as well. I'm just going to go back so you can see what that looks like. This is only for grabs for the next 20 people who take action, and take action right now, tonight. You take action right now, you get access to the Founder Circle. We have a bunch of people that we spoke to actually last week. It was very interesting, it was very insightful. And you want to be a part of this. You want to gain access to mentorship, immediate access, which means that next Thursday, you could be in a mentorship session learning how to become employable in an ever-evolving and growing technology and AI market. You could be learning from industry experts. You could gain access to lifetime references. You could gain access to lifetime interview prep. So you never have to be nervous before an interview again, no matter if it's for a big job or if it's for a small job, whatever that looks like for you. But yes, this is it end to end. Now, I am hoping that there are people on the call who have decided to take action for themselves because, like I said, our next cohort starts April 11th. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind as we bring this to a close is that a bunch of people are already moving forward because of the priority access that I mentioned. Now, the next 20 people who lock this down, that's it. The next 20 people, if we don't get up to 20 people, which I highly doubt, the window is still going to close and it's going to close tomorrow. It's going to close tomorrow. Sunday night, 12 a.m. exactly, it closes. Now, Tenalytics is accredited by the American Council of Training and Development, so you can ensure that you are getting the best out of this. We also got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program. This was in October 2024. So if you haven't filled out the attendance form that my colleagues are sharing in the chat, this is another reason why you should fill it out so you can gain access to the slides I've shared here today. And you can take a look at this. You can read the article and just look at all of the amazing information that we shared here today. Now, aside from that, you also gain access as well to a bunch of resources that we only share with people who are in our community. So if you do not fill the attendance form, you don't get access to that. So ensure you fill the attendance form so you can gain access to this slide. You can gain access to all of the resources that we share with the people inside of our communities. So I'm just going to go through the chat. I don't know if we've got questions. I know I saw a bunch of questions earlier. But how are we feeling? I want to do a quick pulse check. Because I've said a whole lot, so how are we feeling? Are we charged up? Did we get value from this session today? Did you learn something new? You can just drop a yes in the chat if you learned something new. Did you learn something new in this session today? Something you didn't know before. Okay, so SS2 is asking, did you talk about scholarship? Okay, Tony is saying, thank you for this wonderful session. I enjoyed every bit of this. Please, how long did it take a class, for example, to land the job with visa sponsorship, considering she has about 2 years gap in the career space? Secondly, as a PM aspirant, how important is Prince 2 and PMP certification in the job market? This is a fantastic question. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go back. I want you to hear it from the horse's mouth. Before I answer that question by playing a class video, I'm just going to quickly take a few questions here. Franklin said, please, when will the scholarship end? So Franklin, it is ending tonight. If we get 20 people, first of all, the priority access is ending. Secondly, the discounts, we only have slots for that. So once the slots are completely filled up, that is it. You don't get any more. That's it. So once the slots fill up, you get no more. And the reason why we have capped the slots is because we want to ensure that we are able to give the best to the people who are inside of the cohort anymore, and we would not be able to guarantee quality, so we have capped it. So you sign up right now, you gain access at this price. I would advise you not to wait and just go ahead and sign up so you can gain access to all of this, not just the discount itself, the IWD discount, but also all of the other amazing freebies that you get, like the Founder Circle, access to interview preps, and a bunch of other things. Okay, so I see that Temitope dropped a yes in the chat. Is it safe to say that only Temitope got access, got value out of the time that she spent here today? Nobody else did? Sandra said, I'm interested in both PM and Scrum Master. Which one do I choose? Okay, PM and Scrum Master. Sandra, so I would advise that you go for Agile Project Management and Scrum Master. There's a reason why we combined both of them together, because I'm just going to go back here so you can see what that looks like. So remember that I walked us through that track, the Agile Project Management and Scrum Master track. Now, the reason why this is so important is because we combine both, okay, let me just go back here. So the reason why this is so important is because we combine both the Agile project management methodologies and the Scrum Master methodologies into one. So you are getting the best of both worlds. So in this case, I would say, Sandra, you do not have to choose. All you have to do is just go for this track, and that covers everything. So why choose one when you can have it both? You can have it both ways. What is that saying? You walk into a store and you're wondering if you want the red shoes or the green shoes or the blue shoes. You can just have everything, and that's exactly what we have designed here for you. So with the Agile Projects Management track, you gain access to, you learn the fundamentals of Agile and Scrum and how to apply this in your project. You also learn Kanban as well. You learn real-world application. You learn the fundamentals and methodologies and the structure of projects management. So this is a course that combines both together, Sandra. So you don't have to choose. I would say this is the perfect course for you. And I hope I've answered your question. Now, someone was asking about ICMAT and how long it took ICMAT to transition. I really love that question because it showed that you were paying attention from the start. So I'm just going to go here and play ICMAT's video just for a short while so you can hear from ICMAT herself. And like I said, fill out the attendance form so you can gain access to this and you can watch it at your own time. So just give me a minute and I'm going to play this for everyone.
Here's the reality. Your college degree took 4 years and $100,000. AI skills, 28 days and $20. Guess which one your boss cares about more in 2026?
What made you think that you needed something in addition to the masters that you had in the UK in the first place to be able to get a job?
The first day I stepped my foot in my classroom, I started thinking about the job market.
I'm just trying to tell people that the fact that you have a UK master's is not automatic. Sometimes you need to go an extra mile to get a few things in addition. And that is what you realized, and then that is what you did, and then it was so helpful. So I'm saying that data analyst, is it just manager? Why you get the minimum wage or their salary is actually good? People are saying they're in tech, they're making money. Are you really making money or you're just managing?
Let me just move this forward. I want to go to the exact part where
myself, even when I've not finished my program yet, I was able to attend interviews confidently, and these were because of the sessions that were set apart for optimization, interview preparations, and everything. So yeah, I can attribute it.
I was with the match for Internalytics.
Okay, fantastic.
This is it.
Joining Internalytics has been the best decision so far. For me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child. And then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Internalytics came along and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of not selling yourself short, that if it's always say it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's very, very, very valid advice. Internalytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. We have people you can always go back to even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it was the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked. And I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he was mentioning, everything he mentioned, it was just, they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a math test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely, you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development. Because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interview. And yes,
Fantastic. So I'm just going to pause it here. If you want to watch the video at length, you can always go, you can always, fill out the feedback form, and so you can gain access to this resource, so you can watch it at your own time, or just go search stuff in YouTube. But it took Ikmat 1 month after finishing her program to transition from being a full-time stay-at-home mom, where she stayed for 2 years, and she had this 2-year employment gap in her resume. When you go in for your interviews and the recruiter looks at you and says, why do you have 2 years employment gap on your resume? You cannot answer that question. So like Ikmat said, she experienced a lot of no's. But one thing that really eased the process for her was because that 2-year gap, by the way, it wasn't even really existing anymore, because Ikmat leveraged her recent learning experience with Tenalytics, and she had that as a previous experience on her resume. So now it was a case of, oh, well, before Tenalytics, I did have a 2-year gap, but then I transitioned and, I used projects in Tenalytics when I consulted with them. And these are the projects that I worked on. And she could draw back from that. I was speaking in a mentorship session recently, and someone asked a question. He said, well, I'm new to the technology space. And, when it comes to behavioral questions, like, tell me about the time when it comes to questions like, how do you handle things like, when your colleague asks you certain things, or when your colleague does certain things. And for me, I'm new to tech, and these questions, they always have tech context to them. So how do I handle that? And what I advised was, when you come into Tenalytics, regard it as, I just got my job offer. So this is your job offer. Your pod is your community. Your pod is your department. Your cohort is your company. Your pod is your department. You work with these people every day. You build projects together. You ideate together. You brainstorm together. And then, your pod leader is your team lead. So we have literally designed this program to simulate real life experiences, to simulate you getting a job, because at the end of the day, that is what this is all about. So you can always draw back on that experience, and this is part of what helped Ikmat ease into that role. Taking advantage of the interview prep helped her ease into that role. Okay, so Nelly is asking how much for health tech program. So I'm sure that I see that my colleagues have already answered. Thank you, Daniela. So you want to take advantage of this ASAP. Olamide is asking, are we going to be getting certifications? Thank you for answering that. And like I said, Tenalytics is accredited. So of course you are getting certifications. Liz is asking, is this session recorded, please? Absolutely, Liz, but it will not be shared if you do not confirm by filling out the attendance form. So the attendance form that my colleagues were dropping in the chat, you want to fill that form out, and then you gain access not just to the recording, you also gain access as well to the slides I have used here. Leka is asking, can we pay with card? Absolutely, Leka, yes, you can. I'm just quickly going to come here and show you what this looks like, but yes, you can. So let's just quickly go here. So I can show you what it looks like. So you can pay with your card. It takes you to Stripe, and then you can process your payments from there. So this is the journey that we went through. I'm going to go back to the enrollment page and show us how we can switch currencies, so we can see what that looks like, or what the price looks like. This $600, you can see what it looks like in pounds as well. You can see what it looks like in CAD. You can see what it looks like in USD. So this is me switching. So I can switch here. Just click on this button here. Just click on this drop down, and then you can switch between currencies. You can see here that this is what I'm going to be paying in CAD. And then, you can make your installment payments, or you can choose to pay once. So absolutely, our payments gateway supports international processing, global processing, so you don't have to worry about it. No matter what country you're making your payments from, if you're paying from Ghana, from Egypt, no matter where you're paying from, you can process your payments here. Okay, so I want to check if we have any questions, any other questions in the chat. I do not think we do. Can I go back to the payment bit as I was driving? Absolutely. Yes, you can, but you also have access to this. So just make sure that you click on that link. And when you do, you can just come right back to the course pages. You can just follow the process that I went through and then select your cohort if it's April or if it is May, whichever one you want to go for, and then you complete your payment. It's super intuitive and you can get it done in only a couple of steps. Sandra is saying, can we change our first payment date, please? Absolutely. Yes, you can change your first payment date. So you just scroll down here, and then you can just click on, so once you select the date, so you select your cohort, I'm going to select this. You can come here, change my next payment date. You can click on change date, and then you can decide, okay, so I want my next, so I'm paying today, but I want my next payment date to be on the 27th. So you can select that, and now the next payment date is going to be on April 27th. So absolutely, yes, you can change your next payment date. The date simply adjusts so it reflects a 1 month payment. So it's going to be 30 days in between from your most recent payment to your next payment if you're going for instrumental payment plans, and you also want to change your date so it's fully flexible for your earning schedule. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't see any more questions in the chat that I haven't responded to. But okay, I did get a couple of questions earlier. I don't think we have any more. Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much, everyone. If we don't have any further questions, we're just going to wrap up here. Please do not forget to fill out the attendance form and also take advantage of the discount. It is not going to be here forever. It is only open to a couple of slots. We only have 140 slots left for the women, and then for the men as well, we only have a couple of slots left. So once these slots are filled up, there is no more opportunity. So you want to take advantage, right now and lock down your slot at the discount, at the IWD discount. This is never going to happen again. Teralytics bringing down our price to this level to ensure that as many people who want to get into tech and get started today. So it's really been an amazing session. I've loved spending time with you all. We heard from incredible women, Bukola, we heard from Nicole, we heard from Pippa, and then we also learned how we can get into tech and get started today. So thank you so much, everyone. If you're still confused about what steps you want to take, you can also join our community. You can fill your attendance form. I'm sure some of you are also in our community as well. You can book a clarity call and have a one-on-one conversation with a career consultant and say, hey, I'm not sure what career path I want to go for. I'm drawn to business analysis. I am drawn to project management, and I would like you to help me out. And you would have access to these people. They would walk through your background. They would ask you questions to get to know you better. Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? And match you with a career path that is a perfect fit for you. So you also have access to having a one-on-one conversation with a career consultant. You want to ensure that you either lock down your discounts tonight or you lock it down as soon as possible. But if you don't lock it down tonight, then you don't get access to the founder circle, as well as the other priority access perks that I listed before. But that's still fine, so long as you get in, and you get in as fast as you can. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It's been a truly amazing session. I learned a lot. I hope that you did as well. And I am looking forward to seeing everyone here in class. Thank you once again, and bye.
Thank you.